everyone, and welcome to the Game Breakdown Podcast, the podcast where we break down lots of different games. And for the last time this year, because we have finally reached the end of this fucking shit year.
Yeah, 2020 is on its way out, and we are glad to see the back of it, as I'm sure everyone is. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you had a good Christmas, as best you could do. Merry
Christmas. It has been a really bizarre one for a lot of people. Us included. I was segregated from the majority of my family from Christmas Day and not with anyone for some of it. So, fun times. How about you? Yeah. Seeing everyone?
Yeah, well, no, obviously, no, we didn't get to see everyone, that was the weird thing, wasn't it? Christmas was definitely different this year. Obviously, I'm a lot more fortunate than a lot of people. I did get to see my partner's family because it was just one household. But other than that, we couldn't really see anyone. I couldn't see my family. You know what I mean? It's a bit shit, isn't it? But hopefully next year we'll be all right, won't we? Hopefully we'll have a better Christmas next year.
Yeah, hopefully we will, because I think we're quite lucky we've got this FaceTime and stuff like that to see people, because if I didn't have that, then I probably would have literally seen nobody, which is sad times. But I
mean, we did have the Zoom call, and then my mum was on mute for 10 hours, and and then the bloody video was off, and I was like, oh, this is just, I should have known it was gonna happen. Do you know what I mean?
While your niece does TikTok dances in the bag.
Yeah, my niece does TikTok dances in the bag, which is fabulous. I don't even watch TikTok. I don't even know.
Oh please, I lose hours to it. I saw an Instagram post the other day that was the quote of 2020 is "You're on mute." You're on mute. I was like, yep, that's about
And I was like, Mum, you're on mute, Mum.
And he signing it you're on mute, covering her.
Yeah.
Okay,
the joys of technology.
The joys. Right, so this is going to be our last episode before the end of 2020, and we will be back next year. New year, new us. We're going to take a couple of weeks break.
Content.
Yeah, new year, new us, but the same old shit that we do every day. We'll be taking roughly a 2-week break, and then we'll come back in 2021, hopefully with better game news, better stuff, a better year, and just better in general, really. So fresh, exciting.
I was thinking of I don't know, some cleaning advert. It use that song.
Not the 80s hit that I went for.
We'll move on from that for the moment.
I was thinking, I texted you the other day, we were thinking of an idea for our final podcast, and as we mentioned last week in our last podcast, a friend of ours, Maria, thanks Maria, shout out to you, sent us a little game quiz, and I thought it'd be fun for us to discuss this quiz. So basically it's favourite games of all time, least favourite games, favourite hero, favourite game from the PS2, all that kind of stuff, favourite games from here and that, and games you hate and stuff. So we can do ones from this year or from all around or what have you. So I sent this quiz to you the other day, and I was fill this out, bitch, because we're recording it next week. And you did, and we're here. We haven't shared our answers, and we're here to discuss each of these questions. There's quite a few of them, so it might get us through the hour.
I know. You were we'll do a little quiz. I got a massive message with a fucking shit ton of questions. I was like, oh God. But yeah, I filled it out best I could. I feel like we're going to have really different answers, so I'm quite excited to see, because we're quite different gamers, really. We enjoy the same things, but we also have a lot of kind of favouritism towards different genres, don't we? So it'll be really interesting to see.
It will, because I feel we used to, when we first met in secondary school, which is a long time ago, we're almost 30, when we met in secondary school a long time ago, we were quite similar gamers and played a lot of the same stuff, and I feel we took a serious deviation after that.
We did.
Not serious, but a good amount, to the point where it's oh, okay then. There's just certain conversations we don't have because we just have no comment for each other.
Because I'll get really excited and you'll be I don't even know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Or vice versa, and it's fuck. We're not on the same page.
Not on the same page. Oh, I see. I'm looking at my answers. I wrote this obviously long before you did, because you sent it to me first, and a lot of my answers are controversial yet brave. Now I don't know if I stand by them all, but. Do you know what?
Well, feel the wrath if I disagree.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Right, okay. So there's quite a few questions. There's at least 20-something questions. We'll start off. So it says, favourite game of all time. Now, I'm pretty sure you can... Oh, okay. Should we try and guess each other's answers for a few of them?
Yeah. But can I just add, these were extremely difficult to answer. As I can imagine most people will. If you take note of our questions during this podcast, and answer them yourselves, you will literally find yourself going in circles like, but is it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It just, there's so much out now that it's so hard to kind of define a game. But yeah, so let's try and guess this one. So obviously question 1 is favourite game of all time. Now, I mean, I can only assume that yours would be, and if I'm wrong, I'll be like gobsmacked, would be Final Fantasy VII. It was either that or it was a Resi game, but I went for the Final Fantasy because...
I will say I tossed up between this question quite a bit, and I did delete an answer. No. I did write Final Fantasy, but then I did delete it, and I did put Resident Evil.
Number 1.
Yeah, but like this is what I mean. I wasn't sure. So I'm gonna I'll give you that one because I did put like Stroke. Like Final Fantasy Stroke Resident Evil.
I've got a stroke as well, so like if you can guess like either one or both, like I will be, be impressed.
Oh no, okay. So if I'm thinking back, but you're.
I'm gonna be difficult.
You are difficult.
I don't know. Like
you have like a varied taste in games. Like you play a lot of. You play a lot of shit. Oh, okay. I think that your most favorite game. Okay, I'm gonna put a stroke in between, and I feel like one game is one you haven't talked about in a really long time. Am I along the right lines?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, bollocks. Okay, right. I'm just going to say it. I think that I hope I can just get one of these right. I'm
like really excited right now. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I feel like your most favourite games of all time are probably a cross between Metal Gear Solid and, if I'm going to like go for a throwback here, Max Payne?
Oh, no.
Oh,
love Max Payne though. Oh my god. But not
for both of them.
Not for the favourite game of all time. Absolutely adore it, but it doesn't quite meet those standards.
Oh,
so
fuck.
Shall I tell you what I went for? Or do you want another shot?
Wait, did I at least get one right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It depends what one you're thinking. When it comes to Metal Gear Solid, what one do you think?
Oh, 2 or 3.
No.
You didn't put 1, but you love 3.
I put 1.
You put 1?
Because I had to really kind of like, this is what I mean by me going like back and forward with certain things. So it was going to be number 3, but then I went for number 1 because I thought, well, that's kind of where it began.
Oh, you're so sentimental, for God's sake.
I know. I had to add some like value to it. I was like, this is where it began. You know, it holds some serious content. But then the other one was Final Fantasy 9.
Oh, wow. Okay. Really? Yeah. I know you like that game, but your favourite game of all time? Wow.
Yeah, because I bought it on everything. Like, and it's just nostalgic to me. And like, if there was ever this game and something else, I'd always pick Final Fantasy 9. I don't know. Like, I just enjoy it. Like, there's not a year that goes by that I don't play it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you with...
7.
Honestly, it's like you with Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, I do love that game. Oh, I feel like I should more have lent heavily towards Final Fantasy 7 now because I do adore that game and I've played it a million times. Wow, I feel like you don't talk about Final Fantasy enough considering how much you seem to be like...
It's because you're so busy talking about 7. Okay, but no, yeah, so, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. We basically said almost the same thing.
We did.
Apart from, I was never really... obviously, I never played Resi when it was, when it first came out, so... This is where we divided, wasn't it?
So when you went for 9, I went for 7, and we stopped being friends. Yeah, that's when we divided. Oh, right. Okay, then. God, that just sets the tone for what's going to happen for the rest of this, doesn't it? Like getting everything wrong. Okay, interesting. The second question is best story. Now, I changed this at least 3 times, and I settled on one that I don't think you'll guess because...
Oh my god, are we guessing all of them?
Or do you want to guess a few? Okay, do you want to guess, like... Should we not guess all of them then? Maybe a few of them?
I think we'll have to... Because honestly, like, I generally cannot imagine what you would class as best story. Like, I mean, I've got an idea, but I think I'm so off track. Like... But then I don't know. No, just tell me this. We'll do it.
I know. I filled this out and I changed it. And I was like, I don't know if I've been true to myself. I feel like this is someone else's quiz. But still, okay. So... I wrestled with best story for a bit, and I was like, but I love Final Fantasy 7. I was like, that's got to be best story. And I was like, but I love Resident Evil. That's got to be best story. And then I was like, oh, but, think about all the other games. I love Metal Gear. That could be best story. I went for Dragon Age.
Oh! See, do you know what? With me, in those kind of games, right, I wasn't sure because how kind of varied your gameplay could be.
Yeah.
And I didn't know whether that was kind of not cheating, but like, because you can kind of make
your own story.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't do that, because then obviously I'm going to be biased. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no, like, Dragon Age is awesome. I never would have guessed that. I actually, for a second, debated Spider-Man, because I remember, like, the last podcast, you were so, like, into the story of it.
I nearly did put Spider-Man, actually, to be fair. I nearly did.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, interesting. What did you say?
Oh, I feel like mine's really obvious. Now, like you, like, I had to debate a lot, and it was a mixed up between Metal Gear, but then I thought, do you know what, though? That just got wild, that story. Like, as good as it is, it's just absolutely wild.
I think I know what you've put.
Okay. Last of Us.
Yeah.
the first game. Like, the second game was a bit...
Because that's where it all began.
I love it. Yeah, that's where it all began. Right? So I went for Last of Us just because... I adored, like, the backstory of it and, like, the relationships of the game. And I felt like the pacing and consistency of the story was, like, really strong throughout. And I've never played anything that drew me in like that did. It was like watching a film, you know? So, yeah, I had to go for Last of Us for best story for that one.
I love it. And Joel, I kind of agree. Last of Us is a really good story. Like, it's very well written. And, like we've said before, like, it's a really, you know, interesting story on basically what's happening in our world now. Just... if it was further along a few years. So no, I get that. Well done, Naughty Dog. We're here for you. I found this next question really hard because it was difficult, because a lot of the games that I play have a very similar style. So it was favourite art style. Now, my answer, I'm looking back and I'm like, why did I put that as an answer? Because it's not really a specific art style.
Did you like any of your answers?
No.
Because every question, like, it's not me, it's someone else. I don't like it. I regret it.
I bought this off someone. It wasn't me. Because I feel like the game I chose doesn't have a specific art style, but I feel like it does in a way, because it's a really... I try to think about it holistically. So not just the way the game looks, but like the whole artistic intention of the entire game. Mm-hmm. I think you should answer first.
Oh, are you that scared? All right. You're going to judge me for this. I know you are. Okay, so here we go again. I wasn't sure, but I settled on Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh, see, like, you gave it a proper answer. Okay, I can see that. That's a really good choice, actually. Zelda Breath of the Wild is beautiful.
I was really close to putting Borderlands, because I love the art style of the Borderlands games. They're kind of very, like... But then it's a very similar style. It's kind of shell shaded, sort of, So but Breath of the Wild, I always thought it just looked beautiful, like the contrast and everything. So I had to give it to Zelda for that one.
That's
what about you?
Really cool. Well, I went for I chose a game that was quite like moody and interesting. So like I chose Metal Gear Solid 2.
That's fine. That's totally fine. It's okay. Don't worry.
You're loved here. You're accepted. It's fine. Like, I just know, because I thought it doesn't look special in the way that it's not like, you know, in a comic way, or it's not like Ghost of Tsushima beautiful or anything, but like it's an interesting way, because the game is very moody and arty and like...
Yeah, there's that. But when you think about it, like the character design, like they are kind of... They're sort of like a bit like anime, but they're like not, like they all have that kind of look to them.
Yeah.
And especially the general art of it, like, is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the actual drawings and the character concepts, like it's just out of this world. So yeah, I can 100% like get behind that. I think obviously like we said, it isn't like shell shaded or anything like really obvious. But when you think about it and you think of like the style of characters and like how they look and things like that and like the design, yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm accepted. Cool. Okay.
Have I reassured you?
You have, somewhat. Right. Favourite soundtrack. Now, I think mine to you would be quite obvious about this, because I think the sound of this game, like, I would probably listen to some of these as just little hypes as I'm like living my daily life. It's like a soundtrack. But I chose...
While you're doing your cleaning, yeah.
While I'm doing my cleaning, while I'm vacuuming, I always listen to the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. Right. Yeah. So I chose FF7.
I definitely knew FF7 was up there, because when we were talking the other day about the different awards, and you were happy that obviously 7 was behind that one.
Yeah, that the remake took it.
I'm probably gonna shock you a little bit. Obviously, it's quite hard to decide, because I do adore like any Final Fantasy soundtrack. Like I've said before, like I really like tens and stuff. Like it's just a vibe. But I went for Death Stranding.
Oh, because, interesting.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of people will agree with me. But like I feel like that soundtrack is so like versatile, and I'd never heard of this band. I think they might have been really pushed on a pedestal for this game, but they were called like Low Roar, and like I just found myself loving every single song, and I felt like it had such emotion in each song, and because it's not kind of a specific style, I can literally listen to that like any time of day.
Yeah.
So yeah, Death Stranding's really cool.
I've never really heard the
soundtrack.
Death Stranding soundtrack, so that's quite interesting. I feel like now I need to look at it, listen to it.
Yeah.
I'll do something to it.
I feel like it's weird. I feel like you can listen to the soundtrack and you can probably assume that the game's going to be good based on that soundtrack.
Oh,
because
okay.
It's just a vibe. Like, honestly,
It's just a
listen
vibe.
to it. It is really cool.
That's my new excuse for anything. It's just a vibe. You don't get it. It's just a vibe.
It's just a vibe.
Hardest game. I feel like I copped out on this one a little bit because I couldn't necessarily think of a game that I thought. I know, like, the typical thing for some people would be like Dark Souls and Demon Souls and stuff to be like the hardest game ever. But I haven't necessarily played those games to the extent that I really feel a connection with them to be like, oh, it's such a hard game, but I love it. So I put the hardest game. This is really stupid. I put Kingdom Hearts 3. Sorry, Kingdom Hearts 2 or 1, whatever.
I've
they're all
never
hard.
played the Kingdom Hearts series, but I've kind of seen some things that would make me feel like it has its challenging moments.
They are
But,
really
like,
hard. I started recently. I did like before 3 came out. I went into like replay 1 and 2. So I replayed 1 and I thought, do you know what? These are fucking easy games. They're old games. I can do this. I've played this before. Let's do this. I did it on like the hard mode. That was fucking difficult, and I got to the point where I was on the final boss and I couldn't do it. So it took me hours and hours and hours. I'm talking about 3 hours of gameplay. Still could not complete it. And in the end, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to YouTube the final cutscene. I'm going to move on to number 2. And
really,
yeah, and also what makes it really difficult, I just need to say, is the final boss battle has a fight, a 5-minute cutscene, a fight, another 5-minute cutscene, and then the final fight. Are these cutscenes skippable? No, they're not. So every time you die, you go back to the very beginning of the fight. So that game can suck my dick for those reasons. So
yeah, no one likes an unskippable cutscene.
no.
And then suddenly it's like, you dare do this, and and you listen to it 30 times, and you're like, oh my god.
Literally.
Like,
so in
it's enough to
2021, we
just-
don't want unskippable. We don't want unskippable cutscenes.
it's ridiculous. We want all the cutscenes.
Want all the cutscenes.
No, yeah, I went for like, I kind of ummed and ahed over this because it was like,
Nothing's hard
there's
for us. We're
games
so
where-
good.
we're just so good.
We're just so good.
No, but basically, I recently played Mafia that got remastered, and the game wasn't hard. This isn't my answer, by the way.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
building it up.
You're building
I'm just
up.
building some kind
You're
of
bringing
thing
tension
up, yeah,
to this, yeah.
for no reason, but yeah. And the race on classic difficulty for me was fucking hard. It took me it must have took me about 7 hours of starting this race and stopping this race in this game, and just keeping doing it because I thought, I've got this far, like I have to just complete chapter 5 or whatever it was, the race.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult. But obviously the game itself wasn't really difficult, so I was like, oh, that can't really be a thing. And I always try and think maybe a little bit more recently as well. But I think it's really basic. But for me, yeah, like the hardest game I think I played was like Dark Souls, because I really
So I
wanted
guessed
to like,
yours.
get far. You guessed mine. Yeah, but I think for like, I don't really follow the series, but I got it for free. I can't remember how I got it for free, but I played a bit of it and I was just getting absolutely like annihilated after like a certain point. And I just thought, like, I can only imagine how difficult this is in like further down the line, and how I have to really kind of know what does what and have like maybe a specific build. And that made it quite difficult for me. Like, I think when games expect you to kind of gear towards a certain build, that's when it gets a bit difficult, because it's like I kind of like a bit of everything. I struggle being in like one position.
Yeah, and I know it's like meant to be famously hard, isn't it? Everyone always says like Dark. And I know that doesn't Dark Souls have like a realistic mode where you have to go through, if you die once, you go back to the beginning of the game. So the realisticness is you won't die in your adventure.
I mean, I don't know, because I've never properly played them, but I'm pretty sure they would have like a permadeath option.
Yeah.
So, which again, yeah, like,
Which fuck that.
I just imagine getting to a certain point and dying and having to start again. Like, that just gives me anxiety. Like, I'm all for feeling accomplished with stuff, but I could never be that dedicated to a game, whereas if I die, I have to do everything again. Like, I just haven't got the attention span for it.
I would never pick it back up.
So
like, imagine getting like
No, I
3/4 of the
wouldn't.
way through or to the final boss and you die. No, game over. Sorry, that's it. That game's going in the bin. Like, I'm not.
It's like Silent Hill, right? There's like achievements and trophies for, and it might be similar with Resi, where you can only save like once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the Silent Hill games are very long, and like if you don't save at a certain point and you have to keep restarting and I just think, nah, like I ain't got time for it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
No,
We're not about that life.
No.
Right, okay, so the next one is funniest game. Now, I don't know if you've ever played these ones, and I tried to think of a game that maybe wasn't intentionally supposed to be a funny game, but then, like, and then you could have gone for things like Dragon Age, where, like, the party banter's funny, or you could have gone for games that, like, maybe like Metal Gear, which, had really, like, hilarious moments you didn't
like
really expect.
Dirty humour to it, yeah.
Yeah, but then I chose to go for the obvious, and I chose to go for a game that actually made me, like, burst out laughing multiple times, and I just couldn't control myself, but it's meant to be a funny game. So I put the funniest game was a slash. I put the South Park games, so South Park Stick of Truth and South Park The Fractured Butthole. Now,
they're actually so good.
They're brilliant games. It's like Final Fantasy meets South Park, really. Like, they are hysterical and they are so well done, and I just love them so much. We should talk about them. Have you played them both?
We should talk about it. I have. I played, I think it was the Fractured Butthole.
Mm-hmm.
I played. I didn't finish it though, but I do want to go back to it because I did enjoy it, but I can't remember why I didn't finish it. But I just remember thinking, this is a game, like, stands its own place. Do you know what I mean? And, like...
fantastic.
I'll be honest, like, I never... Like, I watched South Park, and, like, I thought it was a cool idea, and, like, it made me laugh here and there, but realistically, like, it's not something I was like, oh my god, I fucking love South Park.
Yeah.
Like, but the game, I don't know, like, I really enjoyed that, so, I think it kind of had a good thing where it was good for people that did enjoy the series and didn't enjoy the series.
Yeah, I agree. I think South Park is like, I've had all of them, but I don't know how many there are, but I've had a lot of South Park games over the years. Like on PS1, I had Chef's Love Shack, which is like the quiz game, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was really funny. I had, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like South Park Racing. I think it was called, no, I'm not even going to pretend to make up a title. It was like it was almost like Mario Kart, but with South Park characters and power-ups. It was really, really funny. There was another original South Park game where you were like throwing snowballs and stuff at like turkeys, like a Christmas one. That was a very crap game, but still just like a cash in. But this game was not just like a cash grab. This was like a proper brilliant game, and it's like really funny. I'm like, we got a lot of our scenes banned in like Europe. I think Australia got scenes banned in Europe and what have you, in some parts of America, because obviously the like ridiculousness of some of the scenes, like going to get an abortion as like a mini game and stuff. Like, it's a really crazy game, but to me, it had me in fits so many times. Like, what am I actually playing through? Like, there's this random sex scene happening behind me where I'm trying to like platform. It was brilliant. So yeah, I chose the South Park games. What did you choose?
That's a good shout. I didn't even know what you'd pick for that. Mine goes in like a different direction. So I wouldn't say like it's intentionally funny. Like, it doesn't have, but when you play it with someone, you'll end up just being in stitches. And I went for Overcooked because I think when you both play it and you're like running around like little chefs, like shouting at your friend like, chop the onions, do you know what I mean? Like, it just gets really funny. So I went for Overcooked. I just thought it's just a really kind of like funny game to play with someone, because you just end up arguing with each other or throwing them off and shit, do you know what I mean? Like, it's good laugh.
See, I've never played Overcooked, but it does remind me, from what I've seen, is a game that we used to play all the time. It reminds me of Diner Dash. Do you remember Diner Dash?
Oh my God, Diner Dash. We were on a holiday in Cyprus, right? And Anthony decided to bring his PS3. It was PS3, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
PS3. And we'd gone out on the lash, and then we got back, and I don't know, we just
like
played
6
like
a.m.
Diner Dash for like hours, like sunstroke, fucking hungover, eating, I don't know, fucking breadsticks, playing Diner Dash for like... Good game.
Good game. A brilliant game. We should both change your answer to Diner Dash.
I know, Diner Dash.
Okay, a game you like but everyone hates. Now,
this was a hard one.
This was a hard one because I chose a game that the only reason I put this game down is because I was talking to someone about it the previous day, and it just made me laugh, and I was like, oh my god, remember that crap? Like, and I put that down. Now, there's so many that I feel like I could have put for this. Like, we could have put stuff like, well, you could have put anything because everyone's got an opinion these days. But like, you could have put something like The Last of Us 2, or you could have put like Dragon Age, or you could have Dragon Age 2 specifically, which got like a load of hate. But then I went for something really, really random. So I remember a long time ago. Do you remember we were talking about when films used to come with a game? So the second a film would come out, okay. So there was a time ago when dear old Halle Berry signed a contract and got involved with a film called Catwoman. And then they released...
Oh my God.
Do you remember? And they released a game of it, and we ended up getting it and playing it, and it was so terrible, but I found it so entertaining. And
I just remember, like, yeah, like, cartwheeling and, like, spread eagling into, like, jewellery shops, and I was just sat there, like, okay.
It was such bullshit, and, like, realistically, it wasn't a good game. It didn't play well. The acting wasn't good, but there was something about it that I couldn't put down. And it got to the point where I was like, I've become sick at this game. Like, I just have to finish it. So I finished it again and again and again. And it became a game that I was like, I secretly kind of like this game now. Like, it's so crap, but, like, I can't help but play it. So I put Catwoman on the PS2. Like,
I'm feeling that, like, 100%. 100%. It's true. Like, it's that bad, it's good.
It's that bad, it's brilliant. Like, I can't help it. If I still had it today, mate, platinum.
I kind of want to change my answer, but, like, I don't know why. Okay, so I went for Last of Us Part 2 because to me that was kind of...
You mean the one that won the Game Award of the Year? Okay, yeah, that one everyone hates.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. But at the time, everyone hated it, and I was loving it, and I was like, "What's the issue?" So yeah, that was my answer. Was just Last of Us Part 2 because it was just the most hated game for a time.
If you could change it, what would you change it to?
You're gonna laugh at me. I don't know if anyone ever knows this game, and maybe it's a bit of an assumption to assume people don't like it, but I loved it, and for what it was really simple. And you're gonna laugh at me if you remember this.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
But Largo Winch on the PS2.
Oh my God, that is a throwback. You used to love that game. That was.
I know.
That was a bit like, what could you compare it to? Almost like a James Bond kind of game.
Yeah, like a James Bond-esque style game. Yeah, so you played as Largo Winch, who was essentially a spy.
Oh my God.
And then all the fighting was like turn-based. It was essentially a point-and-click style game, but you had control of it. A bit like The Sims on PS2, where, you know, when suddenly you could control your sim instead of having to, like, click places.
Like The Sims meets Splinter Cell meets Metal Gear. Meets, like...
And it was not even... Like, I look back at it and I think, why did I love this so much?
You loved
because,
it.
like, it's... The voice acting, the animations were so simple, but I just loved it. And I remember we'd gone to Devon, like, on a trip to see my nan and granddad, and we'd stopped off at this, like, petrol station type place, and they were selling, like, all these games for dirt cheap.
Like,
so we had all the Sims games. And then Largo Winch was there for, like, £2, and I was like, let's get this, and I became obsessed with it. I don't know if I'm the only person who became obsessed with it, but when I look back at it, I think this was so rough. Like, why did I love it?
We're gonna have to Google that and, like, show everyone, because the kids will not know. Like, I remember
the kids will not know.
The kids will not know. I remember when you actually kept telling me about this game years ago when we first met, like 2000 and whatever, and you borrowed me that game. You were like, play Largo Winch, it's sick. And I played it for 10 minutes and I was like, this game can suck out, because what am I playing? like
Babes, I was right there with Catwoman.
You were there with Catwoman.
It's true though. We all have games that it's true. Like, we all like a really shit game.
We do like a really shit game, to be fair. There's probably a load more that we could have picked from as well, because there's many times I've picked up a game and someone's come for me and been like, what the fuck are you playing? And I'm like, leave me alone. Let me live in my bubble of, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Right. Okay. A game you hate but everyone else likes. Now, this is interesting. I want to know what you would have put for this.
So everyone's going to hate me for this. Obviously.
That's what we're here for.
But I had to go for Skyrim because I just think it's overrated.
Controversial yet
I just
brave.
don't get on it. Yeah, it's brave. I know it's brave. And I knew it was brave when I typed it. I thought, oh my God, I've put Skyrim.
With every letter, you were like, this is brave. You're like...
S, oh my God. K, no. Y, oh,
no.
No. I ended on M and I was like, hell's going on. No, but seriously, like, Skyrim, I feel like it's just overrated. It's the whole premise of it I should really like, but I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's a bit dull and, like, yeah, I just find it boring. Like, I just didn't vibe with it at all. So yeah, I'm sorry everyone, but Skyrim for me is just not anything special.
I agree with you. We had this conversation before. I think Skyrim is shit too, because it tried to do too much. Like, they designed it as a first-person game. They were like, let's make it third-person too, and your character moves like a fucking sim with no animation, like a piece of wood. Like, it's just not... I just don't like it either. And to be fair, have I given it the time of day to really investigate it? No, but I don't need to.
No, I've not even played it.
Yeah,
no,
I've never even heard of it, but it's shit.
Bit shit. I have played it, and I really wanted to like it, but I gave up when I just stopped caring after, like, it must have been about 4 or 5 hours. And I know people might say that's not long enough, but trust me, 4 or 5 hours is long enough to know if you're gonna like something or not.
Yeah.
You know, like there's got to be something that you want to explore more. And for me, I was just bored. Like I just thought there's a whole lot going on, and I don't care about any of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
What was yours?
Okay, so a game I hate but everyone else likes is, I'm probably gonna get Christopher for this. I really do not.
Really, I said Skyrim.
Well, no, but you'll see why. I said Resident Evil 4.
Okay. Do you know what? I understand that from you.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 4 is trash, and I don't understand why anyone you speak to will be like, Resident Evil 4 is like probably the best in the franchise. Like Resident Evil 4 like changed the game. Like Resident Evil 4 is fantastic. Resident Evil 4 is fucking shit. Like I don't care. Anyone can come for me. It is the biggest piece of shit ever.
Fucking come for me, yeah.
Come for me. I don't care.
You're
like
gonna get cancelled.
I'm getting
cancelled. It'll just be the Carrie breakdown.
It'll be like me being Jeffrey. Like I just like I can't. Like Resident Evil 1 invented the survival horror genre. Resident Evil 2 took it a step further. Resident Evil 3 added a little bit of action and made it like somewhat more interesting. And then Resident Evil 4. Let's abandon all of the story and let's save the president's daughter. Like, what am I playing? I'm not playing a 1980s American movie. Like, it's trash. The storyline is just really crap. The enemies went from being zombies and monsters to like a high-paced action game, which is just like, it changed everything for me. I don't enjoy Leon and a stupid haircut. Like I just and also Resident Evil 4 was Resident Evil 4 was released at a time when all games were brown. Do you know what I mean by that? Like everything was muddy. Like their hair, their skin, and their clothes all matched.
And
that hair.
It's true.
Everything was one shade of brown. The environments were the same shade of brown. Like every game. Like I think it's like that game. Let's maybe say like Tomb Raider Anniversary, kind of that around that era. Like all of them were just all brown. So it's just this brown, muddy mess. And then you have like fucking Ashley, like, Leon, help! Like every 5 minutes. Why am I saving the president's daughter? The story didn't make any sense. No, I have so much disdain for it. And I don't understand when people are like, yes, Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm like, no, just remake the first one again.
Yeah.
Like, stop it.
I'm going to have to agree in the sense that obviously I started playing them, didn't I? I was streaming them until recently, and I started Resi 4 and I was just not like sold on it.
And you ended your streaming career on Resi 4. It was enough to kill it off. I just weren't like, when I played Resi 1, fair enough, it's a much slower game, but I loved it for the strategy. It really kind of changed my mind on what I originally thought the Resi games were like. And then obviously I never played the original Resi 2, but I played the remake, which was a pretty good kind of not adaptation, but like remake, and loved it. Thought it was brilliant. Held the same values as Resi 1, and then Resi 3 weren't massively a fan. I really enjoyed the original, but I weren't a fan of the remake. Yeah.
But it still was Resi to me, because you have like, just like the different kinds of creatures, and that's what I loved about it. That kind of weird scientific umbrella being fucking fucked up with all their experiments. Loved it. And then we got to 4, and I don't know, man. I was like I didn't like the setting. Like you said, it was too brown. Well, whatever. It was too brown, and I just didn't really kind of feel it, and I didn't like how it felt. The controls, I didn't get on with the controls very well. I still want to finish it at some point, because I feel like I have to, because I do really want to play Resi 7, and I need to get around to doing that, and I don't want to play that until I've played everything prior. But I just was not. I was a bit let down by 4, and I know honestly everyone I've spoke to, majority of people have said 4 is really good, and I do want to maybe enjoy it, but I just know that I'm not going to, because it just doesn't feel like the Resi games that took me back, like surprised me at how good they actually were. So it's just really, and like it's set in a random village in Spain, which is completely off base for it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with changing the location in that respect, but it's just it doesn't follow anything. So like
you know, part 1 is in the mansion but still in Raccoon City. Then like part 2 is in the police station but somewhat of the rest of the city. Then part 3 is the whole takeover of Raccoon City. And you're like, oh my god, where could they take 4? Could it be like, you know, could it be the whole of America? Could it be something like really in, like, what could they do? We're going to set it in a remote village in Spain where the virus is different. Well, what about the whole outbreak?
I don't even feel like that's the worst part though, you know, because like you could make a really remote village. Like it had everything to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the kind of backstory to it didn't kind of carry on from anything. There was no relation to any. I mean, obviously Ada's there, like I get that, but I don't feel like Ada kind of holds, for me in a way, like from what I'd played when I was playing like the remakes, too much value, and there was no kind of like throwback to anything, and I was just a bit like, I'm not sure, I'm not really vibing with it. So yeah, we're really sorry, but like Resi 4 just isn't quite up to.
It just isn't quite there for me. Like if you play the original 2, it probably makes more sense with the original 4, like Ada being there and stuff. But it's just really random. Like I just don't understand it. The random setting, why they have no reference to what happened before, why it's just all brown, why it's just, and what's weird, brown. What is really weird, and I promise we will move on to the rest of the questions. I just want to say, I know
this is it. When we get you started on Resi, that's it, guys. I'm pouring another drink.
Pour another drink. I've still got mine here. I actually enjoy Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 5 is like.
But I feel like they're the same kind of essence, or am I I've never played it, I can't say shit.
They're quite similar in essence, but there's just something better about 5. But anyway, we'll talk about that in another episode. Moving on to the next question. Next question.
Underrated.
Oh, underrated. Okay, should we go back to guessing? Do you want to have a guess? Underrated games?
Oh, I wouldn't even know. I feel like that's such a broad thing. I don't think you'll ever guess mine either.
I don't think you'll ever guess mine, but okay. I've put 2 games that are underrated.
Right. I don't know. This is just kind of, I've forgotten what it's called. Fuck.
Okay.
What is it?
Catwoman.
No, what is it called? Oh my god, I forgot what it's called. Okay, you play as a guy with powers, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, are you talking about Infamous?
Infamous.
Oh, Infamous.
Did I have a psychic moment, or was that not?
No, I just knew what you were talking about. You were wrong. But
I thought I might have had like a psychic moment.
Infamous is a sick game. However, I don't know if that's underrated. Well, I don't know. I guess
it depends who you talk to, isn't it?
Yeah, I really do like Infamous. I could have put that. Actually, I did debate putting that down. That's not a lie. I did. I do like Infamous a lot. But no, that isn't what I've put. I've put 2 games down. I've put my first underrated game is Star Wars The Force Unleashed.
Oh my god.
Have you ever played that?
That's on memories right there.
That is...
The moving gun in the cutscene.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. The Force Unleashed
That was so
series.
fun.
That was so fun. They are brilliant games. And there was a rumour recently that I saw. The reason I put this down is because there's a rumour they're making a 3rd one. I think it's probably just a rumour, but...
I hope it's got co-op.
Yes, they are fantastic games. I love them so much. And then when they released Battlefront on PS4, I was like, this is it. It's going to be a continuation. It's going to be like a story campaign. And then it was absolutely tragic and shit. And I was like, this is not what anyone wants from a Star Wars game.
That's another game where I'd say for a lot of people would be the game they love that everyone hates.
Oh, Battlefront.
Yeah, I mean, I personally was like, okay, it's just a first-person shooter set in the universe of
Star Wars, yeah.
Star Wars.
Whatever. Star Trek or whatever, yeah.
No, I've started watching Mandalorian and I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I can see why you're not like a huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to know my second one?
I do want to know.
So the first one was Force Unleashed. I think it's such an underrated gem. Love it. My second one, which I hope you're gonna like identify with, is the Jak and Daxter franchise.
So underrated. It is ridiculous.
So underrated.
You know what? I'm gonna let's before we do mine, I'm gonna add that now to my underrated list for sure because it is fantastic. It's such a good platformer. Mm-hmm. It like takes the best parts of like Spyro and it just takes all those and Crash and everything. It just has all of that. Like when you think about it, the mechanics and that are all very similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely so underrated. And it went on for 3 games, including spin-offs on like the PSP and stuff, and yeah,
awesome. There was like a Daxter spin-off by himself, wasn't he, like cleaning like drains and stuff, and there was like a kart racer, Jak X I think it was called, but I found out recently there was a Jak 4 in the works for the PS4 and it was cancelled, and that
is not okay.
Seriously shocked at that, but there is rumours there could be something else coming, but yeah, if anyone does ever get the opportunity to play Jak and Daxter, Jak 2 and Jak 3, Jak 3 I think is probably the best out of all three of them. It literally just gets better as it goes along, but you might think
I
different.
will always...
But you think Jak and Daxter?
I've always got like a soft spot for the first game. I think I've said it before, like my nan bought it for me and I was like really shocked that my nan had like knew that I was massively into games, and then it ended up being like one of my all-time favourites, and I've platinumed it on whatever console I can, you know, so...
Love that. Good. So yeah, Force Unleashed and Jak and Daxter franchise are all of them. What about you?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I'm definitely adding Jak and Daxter to the list.
Obviously, yeah, good. I thought you'd
and another one for me is, okay, so I feel like I'm going to say it's underrated, but again, we've said it depends like who you talk to. But for me, I feel like Life is Strange, the first season, doesn't get enough, not first season, but before the Life is Strange 2, so just Life is Strange.
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't get as much love as like it deserves. I don't know if you've ever played it before. It's by Don't Nod. I have played
a bit of it. That's where you're the little girl who has the power to turn back time, essentially, don't you? Yeah. I have.
Max.
Yeah, I haven't played it all the way through. It didn't really vibe with me completely, but I know I've seen playthrough. I know how it ends. Like I think it's a really interesting game. It has a really interesting story, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But yeah.
But I think that's down to kind of like mechanics and things like that. The story itself gets dark like real quick.
Yeah.
So like it starts like, you know, in high school. Like the soundtrack's awesome, to be fair. Like I'd probably add that to some of my like favorite soundtracks. Yeah, it just hit it like each of the seasons of Life is Strange hit on some like really kind of like touchy subjects, and I just think it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
so
I definitely
think that's worth a play for people.
I think because I didn't really get on with the game itself, but like I think the storyline of it, because I do know a lot of the story from what I've seen of playthroughs and stuff. I think the story is really interesting and really dark, and like you know, stuff with her teacher and like all the stuff that goes on in between that and her like her friend, and at the end, and like I do think it is it takes a lot of twists and turns. So like I'm with you on that one. I think it's quite underrated in that sense. Right, I think we should try and guess this one, and we'll be surprised. The next question is your most overrated game.
God, that's so hard to think of what you would class as overrated.
I know this one. See,
specifically, anyways, yeah.
I think there's quite a few things I could have put for this. You know, I could have just said Resident Evil 4 or something. I could have said like quite a few things, but I chose this game because I've played 2 of them. There's quite a few. I enjoyed them, but I wasn't like, oh my god, when's the next one coming out? I thought the story didn't really suck me in from the get-go. I think the gameplay is quite good, but I wouldn't say it's the behemoth that it's become.
Zelda?
No.
No,
I
Damn it.
Although Zelda.
I don't know why I thought that, because to be fair, I remember you saying actually never. But I was trying to think. You said it's like a behemoth. You've only played 2. I'm thinking, what games do you only play 2 of that you don't? Metal Gear? No.
Oh no! Wash your mouth out.
You've played more than that. Yes. What the fuck was that? I had a fart. I had a brain fart. Oh no! I don't know. What have you played 2 of? Should I know this?
I
Do you
don't
think
know.
it will be easy?
No. Should I tell you?
Just tell, yeah. We'll be all day.
My overrated game that I chose in this current moment in my life is I put Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't...
Interesting.
To me, Uncharted is Tomb Raider with a boy.
You are a Tomb Raider fan, and I think that's
you're
part of it.
That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. I am a Tomb Raider fan, have been for a lot of years. So to me, it's just capitalising on the fame of Tomb Raider with just sticking a guy character in there instead. That's what I thought when it initially came out. The more I played, I realised it's a little bit more than that, but it's still not too dissimilar. And
no, yeah,
I know it's by Naughty Dog. I
love
Naughty Dog, but it's just a bit like, okay.
Yeah, I personally feel like the Uncharted games get better as you play.
Okay.
But they're still very... You know when you play a game and it feels like it's the same game, it just looks different?
Yeah.
I felt like it just looked better each game, but there was nothing... It didn't feel very deep.
Yeah.
You know, like it didn't feel too deep. Whereas I guess you couldn't say Tomb Raider feels necessarily deep, but when I played the last Tomb Raider, I did feel like it was a lot more in depth, and I don't know why. I think maybe it was like customization and stuff. I'm not really sure. But I generally enjoyed the games. I think against Tomb Raider, I don't know if it will quite ever become like the new Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I don't like them.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Like,
I don't hate them.
there's a lot of people that will prefer it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is because you play as a guy. Like, who knows?
Like I don't hate them. Like we said, I don't think they're bad games. I think they're all right. I just don't think they're like as fantastic as everyone thinks. Like, oh my god, the new Uncharted game. Can't wait for part 4. I'm like, why? It's going to be the same as part 3 and 2. I'm like, maybe that's just me. Sorry, come for me. Right. Okay, yours. What's the most overrated game?
It's fair. I think everyone's going to hate me for this. And when I say it, I think you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I know why you've said that. Is Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like it came out towards the end of like the drama surrounding Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
And it's almost like everyone jumped on that to try and act like that was better than Last of Us Part 2. And obviously for some people it will be, for some people it won't be. Like, we all have different tastes.
There was all the bots that hacked the awards, didn't they, to try and get that one to win over Last of Us.
But I just feel like for the extent that people were going, being like, it's amazing, you know, like acting like it had never been done before and it was so different and it was like really going to show the next gen, or not next gen, but like the generation in all its glory. And I played it and it didn't look like it looked good, but it didn't look half as good as people were selling it as. You know what I mean? Like they were obviously probably like pre-rendered recordings that have been made to look really great to sell the game in these trailers. You play it, you realise like in engine it's not really that great, you know? So I was just a bit kind of annoyed. I was like, I think I was just sick of everyone like, Ghost of Tsushima deserves all of this praise, like it's just so good and blah 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 blah. And I kind of just thought, it's an open world, I'm going from A to B to do standard quests and collectibles, like what's new? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it, you know, it's a polished game. It didn't have any kind of like bugs or any like major issues. It does look good, but for me, I just felt like everyone jumped on the train of it so early that I was just like, ugh, like it's really not that good. You know, like, calm down.
Should we start composing our apology podcast now, or should we do that afterwards? Like,
that could be like
at the end.
2021 first podcast will apologise.
No, I get that. I haven't played it. I have played it, but I haven't played it like all the way through. Like a friend has it. I've experienced it, and do you know what it reminded me of? And this, I don't know how this is going to come across, but it reminded me of like if they remade the Tenchu series. Do you remember Tenchu? On PS1?
I've never played it, but I've seen it.
Like, I used to like Tenchu. You're kind of like a stealthy assassin, kind of very similar, set in like the Asian kind of world, like Japanese samurai ninja kind of stuff. Like, it was kind of a little bit, it reminded me of that, but I thought it was a good game, but I wasn't like, oh god, this is it, this is the one, they've cracked it. Like, cancel any future console or game because this one is it. Like, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think visually, like, they did a lot of different things to make it look good. Like, you could play it in, like, the old style of, like, the old samurai films and everything. Really appreciated that, like, great attention to detail. But as a game, in general, if I line it up against some of my favourite games, like, to me, that would just never stand out. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, sorry, everyone.
Love that.
Overrated.
Next one. Right. Best voice acting. Now, this one, I don't know if I'm completely sold on my choice, but like, I think I kind of am. But this was quite difficult because there's a lot of games, like, the further we progress, like, games voice acting does get better and better. You know, when you compare it to the days of like Resident Evil 1 on the PS1, where like nothing makes sense and was barely in English. Like, you know, when you move it to like now, where you have like Oscar nominated actresses and actors like giving, you know, performances and stuff, like with you know, loads of people coming and doing stuff. It's hard to kind of pick, but I did pick one, and I just thought one in recent who like actually I kind of go by if what's happening on screen like makes me feel something, then that person doing the voice acting is doing a good job. And I always say like games like Spider-Man and stuff really did get me, but I actually did put The Last of Us because I thought that was like, as I was playing through it, I felt something. Like we said in our review of it, that I actually did feel for Ellie in a lot of the ways, like in a lot of the gameplay, and that's partly due to the fact that, you know, she's just a bunch of pixels on screen, but the voice behind her is what makes you realise that she's a human and a character, and the same for Joel.
Yeah, I feel like with those actors, you can tell that they are that character at that point.
Yeah.
So when Ashley plays Ellie, like, she is Ellie, you know, like. And exactly, like, I put Last of Us as well.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah, I did. I did put, I did do a little slash and put Death Stranding, because I felt like Death Stranding had really good acting, but obviously, like, some of the same actors are in that. But Last of Us, like, without doubt, like, 2 and 1. Like, 1 we've both said is, like you said, like, we got really sad with the scene in the beginning when
Yeah.
his daughter gets shot, which was really
Traumatic.
It just sounds so genuine and traumatic. And part 2 as well, like when some stuff happens, like you can just feel like the pain of someone, because
Yeah.
it's like they realize now that their kind of relationship with whatever is kind of different now, and it's just so good. And I just thought there's no way, and obviously that they won awards for it as well, didn't they? So
Yeah,
it makes sense.
you truly witness someone lose everything and then claw something back, and it's like you're watching that play out on screen, but you're hearing it in their voices, and it was very good. So yeah, definitely.
100%.
Okay, the next question is worst voice acting.
I feel like we're both going to agree on this.
I think we're both gonna.
Okay.
But I did put in brackets, but I love it.
Okay, yeah, I did that, but I was like, so bad it's good.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Right. Let's hear you first. Go on. You go
should we do a
first. this time.
countdown and say?
Okay.
Do you do countdown?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Resident Evil.
Resi.
Yeah.
Resident Evil. Yeah, exactly. It's so true. It is though, isn't it? Like the voice acting in that game is just so bad it's good.
It's so. I mean, I put Resident Evil, the PS1 original, but I love it. And the reason I put, I mean, that even got it. It actually does hold. I'm not sure if it still holds it, but I'm sure it does. It has a Guinness World Record for the worst voice acting. Like it has an officially recognized award for terrible voice acting, and it's the most fucking best act. It's the best ever. I love it so much. Like it was 5 or 6 random people that were plucked off the streets of Tokyo, that were just like on. Some of them weren't even actors. I think 2 of them, the girl, I think her name's Inez, and that's all they know about her because she's not credited with the last name, was just on holiday, and they were like, you look American. Like, do you think you could do a voice acting skill for like a person in a game? And she's like, okay. She was like an 18-year-old college student who was just on holiday.
There's something really funny. Have you seen the there's a YouTube guy that does some videos, and he was searching for all the actors from the original Resi game.
The guy with the really long
hair. Did you
hair.
see when he was trying to find Inez, and he was like,
yes,
yeah, and still to this day we just think maybe she just didn't want to be known for it, and like people still don't know who like she really is.
People think she's this there's another actress, they think it might be her, but she's like not coming clean about it. She's like, oh, I don't remember, it was many years ago, I was just a kid, I don't know if that's me. Like there's her, like the guy
fucking know
exactly, you would know, like it's and I would come out and say it's the most like iconic game in like the world, like
yes bitch, that was me.
Exactly. The guy who played Barry was a head teacher of a school that was on holiday in a hotel, and they found him. Like, it's so fantastic. Like everyone is just
happened like this for me.
Do you know what I mean?
I
like,
love it.
It's just all so random, and like they were basically what they're doing is they're translating. So there's obviously the script was written in Japanese, translated for English actors to read, and they're reading it verbatim. That's when you get stuff like the tyrant being revealed at the end as the pinnacle of the game, and then Barry being like, "Shall we see tyrant now?" Barry, you're so optimistic. Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole game is just and like the famous lines of like where he pulls Jill out of the room with the ceiling coming down. He's like, "You were almost a Jill sandwich," but then her response is, "I know." Like, it's so dumb. Like, it's just so stupid, but it's fantastic.
I think my favourite part is like it is just like this silence and then this really cheesy like, "I know." Like,
I know.
Like, Barry. I love it.
But weren't you going to check the dining room over the other side? Yeah. Like, it's all ridiculous. Like, and that's what makes it, like, that's why I feel like you could never really live up to that game, because if you remade it with perfect voice acting, I'd be like, this is trash. I want the shit back. Like,
yeah, it's so true. Like, even if they remade it again, I know they've obviously remade it once and the voice acting's improved, but I mean, it's still not great.
No.
But like, it would be funny if they had like a Resi 2 remake, but like with the exact same files for the voices. Would just be perfect.
That's like tragic as well. The Resi 2 stuff, like, it's not as bad as the Resi 1. They learnt their lesson a little bit, but Resi 1 is just a whole.
To be fair, Resi 3 though as well. Like, they all had that kind. It wasn't as bad as the first one, but they all still have that kind of dodgy sort of. Yeah. There's
like so many. Like, one of my favorite bits. I'm trying to think what it is now. I can't like remember the exact scene, but there's a moment, and I think it's one of them. I think there's Chris saying something to Rebecca, and like he's meant to or she's meant to, I can't remember how it is, it might even be Barry, they're meant to say something and run away, but like shout it as they're running, but they don't animate the character models. He just goes like, "See you soon," and then runs away afterwards. And like, it's just like, it just looks everything is just so bad, and all their interactions are just like, it's just fantastic. And if I could give it like a legacy award, I would. So yeah. Resident Evil 1 acting.
Next one.
Favorite male.
Favourite male.
In all of gaming, favourite male. Now, there was quite a few, obviously, like, men to choose from who have, like, done a lot of stuff in gaming or, like, a part of franchises. I try to think of someone who's, like, a man in gaming that's changed my life, essentially. So someone who I was like, I love that character and I've, like, identified with them for, like, years and years. So I try to go for someone who I've, like, loved for a long time. So I put Snake.
Right, this is where it's... Okay, so... right, can I section out an area? Okay, so I'm going to section the questions now.
Right.
So we had favourite male, favourite female, and favourite protagonist. Okay.
Okay, this is...
I went...
we had very similar thoughts then.
I went off actual character. Okay.
Oh, so... as in, like, actor, as in, like, human?
No, as in like, in-game character. I didn't realise it was, like, just your favourite man. Like, just your favourite guy.
Oh, no, but I'm choosing...
Was, like,
yeah, I'm choosing Snake Plissken, like, the man...
I guess that worked. Yeah, that works. Yeah,
so
okay.
Metal Gear.
So for that... Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I did Psycho Mantis because...
Like, okay.
It's still, you know... I loved him as a character. I thought he was brilliant. And, like, if anyone ever asks me who my, like, probably favourite character design is, I'll always say Psycho Mantis.
He is a pretty cool character. I mean, for those of you who don't know, he's obviously one of the very first villains you come across in the first Metal Gear Solid game, who's, like, got a really fucked up backstory. Fucked up. That's a good choice, I think, still. Okay, we looked at it in different ways, but that's fine.
We did. Favourite female.
Now,
so
I want you to guess mine because I'm pretty sure you can tell who it's going to be. Well,
is it like in game?
So like it's a gaming character that happens to be a female. I don't know how else to word it to you.
No, but like obviously, okay, yeah. I mean, I would say like maybe Lara Croft or Aerith.
Good contenders. We do love a bit of Lara.
Catwoman?
Yeah. Halle Berry, digitised in PS2. No. So, okay, I do love Lara Croft. I do love Aerith. But no, she's not my favourite.
Jill! It's fucking Jill!
It's fucking Jill. Why did you just say Jill, you idiot?
It's Jill! See, I told ya. I knew it.
In all of gaming, all I want to see is a game with Snake and Jill as the main characters. I love Jill. Jill Valentine, yeah. I'm talking about from Resident Evil, obviously. Jill Valentine. Iconic character. My first gaming crush, I would say, was Jill Valentine. I played as her and I was like, this bitch. These 6 pixels have it going on. I was like...
You were there.
Those 4 cubes.
She took like Aerith's, like, fucking
number
pedestal.
1 spot. She did. So yeah, Snake is my favourite male and Jill Valentine is my favourite female from gaming, I would say. Who are you going to say?
See, my favourite female is going to be Ellie. From Last of Us.
Oh, okay, interesting. But then you love that game, don't you? That's your Resident Evil, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, considering how modern it is when you compare it to like games like Resi and everything and Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. I love Ellie because I just love how true to herself she is in like across the board. And I said before, like I feel like there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like. Just her character and like how goofy she is and things like that. I don't know, like I always just related to Ellie like really well. So she's just my favorite. And then she was even more so my favorite in the second game.
Yeah.
She pissed me off a little bit, but like I'll always be Team Ellie.
You'll always be Team Ellie. Sure. You're always here for her.
Do love Jill. Actually, do you know what? If we're gonna talk Resi, I'm very fond of Claire as well, though.
I do enjoy Claire. Can I tell you though? I do prefer. Oh, maybe I should have... If we're going to go for like... Okay, I prefer the original Claire. She's voiced by a lady called Alison Court. And she will always be Claire to me. Like, I think her voice just fits the character perfectly. The original Claire and Sherry dynamic and stuff. I do enjoy Claire as a character. Even remake Claire is very good. Like, she's like independent and got herself going on, strong and all that kind of stuff. But Jill's the one.
I think you can't beat a Resi woman, can you?
You can't beat
like
a Resi
female woman. Like, a female woman.
A female woman?
Resi woman is just great. Like they're always like really strong and don't give a shit and just get on with it, aren't they?
They always are. Like when you think about Claire, you think about Jill, you think about Ada. They've always got like there's not really a typical female trope, is there? Of like a weak woman, like who's not like a kid. Obviously, even Sherry's like a fucking strong kid. She's like hiding and ducking and diving and doing all kinds of like shit. Like the men tend to be very hero. Over like Chris, obviously, when you get to Resident Evil 5, like punching a boulder, like they tend to be extremely masculine, extremely heroic, but then the women are also the same, like brave and stuff. So yeah,
they always make the women 9 times out of 10 come across as like kind of like dainty and you know, things like that.
Yeah.
But then when it gets to it, they're just like, they just crack on with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, big up the Resi women.
Big up the Resi women.
Favourite protag?
So this is where I thought like you did, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pick someone. This person could have been favourite male too, but I saved him for favourite protagonist.
Okay.
Do you want to guess?
Cloud?
Yes.
Knew
It was. So
Yes.
Anyway, next question. Yeah, so I chose Cloud Strife, who is the main protagonist of Final Fantasy VII, obviously, because that is one of my all-time favourite games in the entire world. Yeah, love Cloud. Brilliant game, brilliant story, fantastic. Cloud Strife, everyone.
Yeah, Cloud Strife.
Bring to the stage. bring to the stage, Cloud Strife. Who did you choose?
To be fair, yeah, you've always loved him. Like, just I think of it, it's like everything about him. Like, you've always kind of been like, it's just a cool character.
Did I send you that message not too long ago where I was like, I'm really starting to realise my childhood damage? And
yes,
it was like,
and this is how we knew why you always like loved the blondes.
So I've been like, okay, so I was blonde for like 10 years, and obviously I'm not naturally that blonde. And I started to look back at all my favourite characters in gaming and like film and stuff, and it was like Cloud and like Pikachu and like all this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, they're all blonde. Like, this is where it comes from. This is where my damage comes from. So yeah, we love Cloud Strife. We stand Cloud in this household.
Oh,
Yours.
Stanley Cloud. Mine's Snake. Like,
I could have guessed that. Yeah, I thought yours would definitely be Snake.
This is where I originally typed Snake for favourite Mao, and then I saw favourite protagonist, and I put Zidane originally from Final Fantasy IX because he's just like a cool little character that you play. Mm-hmm. But I was like, he's cool. Like, he's my favourite game. Like, he's cool. Even though my favourite character from Final Fantasy IX is Vivi, without a doubt. Like, absolutely love that little character.
Little mage.
But then I saw protagonist, and I was like, no, I've got to put Snake down for that one because it's just Snake in it. David Hayter Snake.
David Hayter Snake. Yeah, not the modern Keith Sutherland Snake. Yeah, no, thank you.
Sorry, mate. Like, to be fair, he does a good job, but like, he's just not the one.
Oh, see, if it was Keith Sutherland all along, you wouldn't know any better. And he's a good voice actor. Like, he's the guy from 24, if anyone doesn't know who he is. But he's like, it's just, my problem is that he's doing a Snake impression. If you're going to change the voice, you've already changed it. So just go ham and make your own Snake voice. Don't try and do an impression of the voice before. Do you know what I mean? That's my issue. But
David Hayter's voice is just such a difficult voice to try and like perfectly do. Yeah. Because it's just very like, it's very deep and it's like impossible for someone to kind of really get that essence.
Yeah,
you know?
husky, but like clean husky as well. Like, I can't. Yeah. You gotta cut. Like, I can't even do it, but it's brilliant.
Exactly. Like, it's so hard to do. Now I'm gonna laugh about the second one because I'm pretty sure this meant villain. But I took it as it is, and on mine it says favourite village. So I actually put my favourite village down.
But that's how it came. I mean, Maria, we're going to call you if you got this wrong. But it said to me famous village, and I was like, how really random. I don't know what to do. There isn't a question for favourite villain, so we can like add that on to the end if you like, because I would like to think about a favourite villain. But I did put favourite village. I didn't know what village to put down. I had to think about it quite a bit, but I had a go at putting somewhat of a village. What did you put down as your favourite village in gaming? So, where's your favourite village? Devonshire?
I feel like someone's favourite village in gaming is like okay as a question though, because we've all been to a different village in a game. So I put down the Black Mage village from Final Fantasy IX.
Right, okay.
It's so cute, and I was like, as soon as I saw village, I was like, I'm not sure, but like I am totally down with the Black Mage village.
A Black Mage village.
I put that down.
Is that where Vivi's from, by any chance?
That's where little Vivi. Well, we think he's from. Yeah,
because he's a Black Mage, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down with that. I think that's a good enough answer. I thought about a few different things for this. I thought about like maybe including, you know, the village from Resident Evil 5. I thought about including the village in what was it called? I've gone a blank. There was a village somewhere I was going to... I've gone a blank. There was a village I was going to include for something else, but I can't remember. There was quite a few villages that crossed my mind. Well, not quite a few. I had to Google if they were villages before I actually answered. And I don't actually think my final answer is a village, but it's a villagey area, and that's good enough for me. So
that's good enough for me.
I'm going to go with the Kokari Wilds. Now, do you know where that's from? Thinking...
Yes, I do know where it's from. But I
the semi-confidence you just came out with. I do know where that's from. It's the village where you find Morrigan in Dragon Age.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's that, but then I started going on to like, I started thinking about WoW, and then I suddenly was in Final Fantasy X, and then and then I ended up thinking, but then it's like, okay. I'm just gonna waffle now while my brain works through it, but yeah.
I thought, because that was like a good playthrough game, a good part of the game's playthrough. I think Maria put her answer as Kakariko Village, which I believe is from...
Kakariko.
Is that from Zelda?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Which, good answer. I wish...
I fucking think it is. I'm going to need to Google this now. That was so sad. Let me just...
Can you fact check? It's spelt with so many Ks.
So many Ks. Oh, wow, I can't spell it, but I feel like I know. Zelda. I knew it.
Okay, good. See, we just knew that because we just like gaming professionals. Yeah. Right.
Sorry, I went off my questions and had like a mini panic attack. Even though all I had to do was like click one thing. Okay.
It was just a lot. It was very stressful. Okay, the next question is most hated character. Now, this I found quite hard because I don't often hate a character, and even if they're like a villain character, I will still appreciate them for what they are, what part they play. Like, Wesker's a horrible villain, but I love him because he's appropriate for the story. You know what I mean? I don't hate him and think, oh, fuck off. Like, there's like
fuck off, you bellend.
Fuck off, you bellend. Like, there's other characters I can think that I just can't fuck with, but they're not necessarily in gaming. So I was like, okay. So I just put someone down, and I think maybe I can think of a better answer later. But a character that I just don't really enjoy playing as is, I put Raiden.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm down with that.
So Raiden is from MGS2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and he's also from his own spin-off, which was called something along the lines of
Vengeance,
Rising, something, whatever.
Rising, yeah.
He like becomes a robot, and it's really just not interesting.
Yeah, alright, so I struggled with this. And I actually ended up leaving it blank because I really wasn't sure. But, like, it's so boring, but I'm, like, going to have to agree with you. I mean, like, I never really liked Raiden, whatever. I never really got, like, into that whole thing. And I was kind of pissed that he was the main guy in MGS2. And, like, obviously, it's still a very good game. And it's probably, one of the best
favorites.
ones of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't think Snake could have played him as well. Like, if you put Snake in that position, it would have played out very differently the way I think it would have. I don't think they could have done it the same. But yeah, like, I weren't a fan. And then in Metal Gear Solid 3, if you pick a certain thing, you start off with, which no one knows at the time, like a mask of like Raiden's face. And a lot of people were fuming, thinking that was who they were going to have to play with again. And obviously it wasn't. But yeah, like, I mean, he's a cool enough character, but he's not, you can't ever replace Snake, you know, like, and I mean, obviously they never did again. They kind of, I guess they did different things around it, but like, they never actually replaced him again because they knew that it fell flat, didn't it? It weren't as good as it should have been.
No, because he was meant to be a secret, wasn't he? I mean, when they released all like the footage for Metal Gear Solid 2 at the time, and like the trailers and stuff, Raiden was featured in none of it, and no one, not even like game insiders or people who leak information. I mean, this was a different time. There wasn't really Twitter, and that kind of stuff wasn't really a big thing to be talking about, leaking game info. But there was never any discussion of Raiden. No one ever knew who Raiden was, and it was a complete surprise because you play, for people who haven't played Metal Gear Solid 2, and if you haven't, what the fuck have you been doing? But when you play that game, you go through a scene where basically it appears that Snake has died, and then you're like, what's going to happen next? And suddenly you're somebody else with a mask on, and you think you're still playing as either a newbie or whatever, and then he takes his mask off, and it's this character called Raiden, and he's like completely different to Snake. Snake is like well built, very trained, like espionage spy.
He's your classic
tough guys.
Yeah. Crop cut.
Yeah, crop cut, hard bloke. And then you play as Raiden, who's got like long, flowing blonde hair.
And like, for a fan of the blondes, you weren't a fan.
I wasn't a fan. Raiden. I saw him and I was like, better dye it back. Like he's
cut that shit off.
He's got like long, flowing blonde hair, and he's just he almost looks like a girl, doesn't he? And he's quite wimpy, and he's quite like, he's in love. His girlfriend is the person you call to save the game, like Rose, and they have this whole Titanic relationship because his real name is Jack and she's Rose, and it's all very It's just really he's just sucks. Although when you play the story, you realise that you have to play as someone like him to go through that part of the adventure because he has to be inexperienced of what happens next.
It all makes sense like as you're playing it, but like
he's just
it was a bit of a
smack
smack in the smack in the face when you first played it.
Yeah, it was, but hey ho. So fuck you, Ryden. Anyway, first game you played. Now I've got a slash here because we're going back many years and I couldn't quite remember the exact one. I mean, obviously everyone knows I love Resident Evil, but actually it wasn't the very first game I picked up because when I was like 6, my mum wasn't not trying to force any kind of like horror game on me. Like that was my sister's doing, and I thank her for that. But the very first game I played, I put a slash, was between Croc and Spyro. And I think it was Croc.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I love Croc.
Oh, Croc was the shit.
Croc was the shit, man.
See, the first game that I played, I really struggled to kind of think what it was. But obviously I used to go to my nan's
because we were like 6.
I'm pretty sure the first game that I actually kind of sat down and properly kind of learned to play was Streets of Rage on the Mega Drive.
Oh, okay. Oh, you went... Oh, actually, we looked at this in 2 different ways. I thought about the very first game that I played that was like my game. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
In that case, I would say mine would probably have been Croc along those lines. I reckon it was probably Croc or... Yeah, probably that. I can't really think that far back, but I went with Streets of Rage because obviously the first time I really got into like gaming was when I was like going to my nan's and I'd play on my uncle's like Nintendo 64 or Mega Drive or anything like that. So it was like kind of between Streets of Rage, Donkey Kong, Zelda, fucking Croc. You know, like all of those were probably like my really early. And then I kind of thought about like Tamagotchis, and I was okay, how far this is going somewhere.
That's a really good point. See, if I look at it in your way and I go back, I think about when my brother and sister had like when they had like Donkey Kong Country on the SNES, when we had like Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, when we had like Streets of Rage or Street Fighter on the Super Nintendo. I used to play that with them. We used to have, I tell you what, the very first game I probably have any recollection of playing at all, and I can't even remember the name of it, but it was like some kind of like, I think it was called oh no, I can't remember. You had like, it was on my brother's Atari something or other, and it was like you had a yellow mage and a green warrior and a red something. It's like a kind of like an RPG style game, I guess, that was on like a PC style, like it had like Robocop. All the games were on floppy disks, and it had like Robocop,
floppy disk,
literally like floppy disks. Like, and
I bet some people are listening like, what's that? They can like Google it and be like, ew.
I know, like what the fuck is that? I'll tell you a funny story about floppy disk. When I was teaching some of the children about the save icon when you save on Word, and I was like, click on the image that looks like a floppy disk, and all of the children looked at me like I had 5 heads, and I was like, no, long ago, many years ago, we used to have things called floppy disks.
And do you know what, those CDs now? CDs are retro.
Yeah.
But to us, it's like
current tech.
I mean, obviously games are CDs, but now we've got digital consoles, and soon CDs aren't going to be a thing, and it's like,
I'm aging rapidly and I can't do anything about it. But
Jesus.
So yeah, like the Atari, I would say was the first one we had was the Sega Mega Drive and the Atari and stuff like that. So it was like kind of things like Pac-Man, Streets of Rage, Street Fighter, Robocop was a really sick one. But I would probably say, if I'm going to have a guess at one of like the first proper games that I played, yeah, I'm going to say Robocop on the Atari. Or, actually no, it was the Smurfs. Oh, fuck me. On the Atari something or other.
Shit.
My sister had it. It was some
I remember playing a Smurf game.
Yeah, it was like you're a blue dot, and they called that a Smurf. And
you're a blue pixel.
A blue pixel, and oh god, I'm gonna try and find some footage because for Christmas last year, my sister actually bought me an Atari like remake that has all the old games on it. I'm gonna try and find some footage and play stuff like Rainbow Island and shit, and we'll show the kids some of the games that we used to enjoy back in the day.
We'll show you like the roots.
Yeah, the roots.
We'll take you back.
We'll take you back. God, yeah. I miss the old days. Right. Yeah. Next one. Favorite company. Right. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 questions really. So we're going to add on the favorite villain. But 6 questions left. This is going to be a long ass podcast. I hope you're ready for it. Favorite company. So favorite gaming company. I put a mixture between 2. I put a slash because there's 2 companies that I always like go running back to. How many did you put down?
Right, I put down
Oh god, she's counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll explain myself. Don't worry.
You put down 6.
Yeah,
6 gaming companies.
I put down 6. Yeah, because I've got. All right, I told you I'll talk you through it.
Okay, right. Well,
do you want to go with yours and then we'll go?
Shall I get my 2 out the way then?
Get you 2 out.
Okay, so the 2 ones that I put down are just who automatically just come to mind are Insomniac Gaming. So Insomniac and Capcom I put because they're responsible for some of my like my childhood favourites. Like you got your Spider-Mans from Insomniac and stuff like that, and then I've got like Capcom for my Resident Evils, my Street Fighters, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome, yeah.
Like they are to me some of the best gaming companies around. But then you got to also think, oh, maybe I should have added another one on there. Fuck. Square, who are now Square Enix, but SquareSoft from like the 90s are a fan. Oh, okay, so Squaresoft / Square Enix / Square, whatever they want to be called these days, Capcom and Insomniac. There you go. Oh, and Naughty Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with Capcom like 100%, and Insomniac. Yeah, like brilliant. Yeah, this was a difficult one. So the first one I put was Konami, and then I put RIP.
Oh, Konami. Yeah, okay.
Like unfortunately, like they fell off the bandwagon, but they brought us like obviously Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill. Like they were a very, very strong company, and I felt like they were worth mentioning. And then I put Quantic Dream because obviously I'm a massive fan of like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I fucking love those games.
Which featured Oscar nominated.
Yeah, just really,
actors.
really good, interesting, choice-driven games with like I think Heavy Rain has about 20 endings. So if you love a game that you want to kind of really see all the different sides of it, like
Jason.
Yeah, fuck it. I almost put him down as the fucking worst, like most hated character.
I think that's what Maria put.
Just like Jason, it's annoying me. Oh, okay, all right, fuck off. And then after that, I put obviously Square, NX, Enix, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't Nod Entertainment because their work on Life is Strange and their recent game Tell Me Why is really good, and they touch on like important issues that I feel like the only way you're going to get through to some people is literally via the gaming platform. So I thought they were really good. Rockstar.
Oh, yeah, you can't forget Rockstar.
I might be biased because obviously I used to be a tester for Rockstar, but like you can't beat a GTA.
You can't beat a GTA.
GTA is its own thing, set in stone. San Andreas, Vice City, GTA 5 is like 4 gens running, like brilliant games. So yeah, I really couldn't pick a favourite when it came to companies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And that was the ones that I went for. I mean, I know there's more, you know, but like I'd be there all day.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many because when I think back now, like I could have had like Naughty Dog in there and like all sorts of stuff. Like for a lot of like when you want to go back.
Yeah, Naughty Dog, fucking hell, Naughty Dog. Like I love Last of Us and Jack and Daxter and Uncharted's alright, and it's like
Or even going back even further, like I don't even know if they're still around, but Eidos. Who made like Tomb Raider and stuff, like how like we can go back like how far do we go back? Neversoft, who made like the original Spider-Mans, like there's so many to go back to.
It's hard though, isn't it? There's no way you can say what your favourite I mean BioWare,
but exactly, Dragon Age, BioWare, Mass Effect. We love everyone except the next question, who is most hated company, and I have a feeling we're going to put the same thing.
I feel like we are. If we're not, it's going to be weird.
They have to. Okay, this is the little clue. They have divisions of companies that we enjoy, but them as a whole, I think, can suck out. Are you ready? Should we say it on 3?
Does it begin with an E?
It might begin with an E.
Does it end in an
A? In an A? Fuck EA.
Fuck EA. Yeah, I put Konami, and then I was like,
it's your most hated.
I was like, this. No, not my. Okay, listen. Like, obviously, I started with Konami saying I love them, but RIP, and then it was like most hated, and it was Konami for what they did.
Okay.
But generally, my real thing is EA. Like, they basically destroy anything they touch.
Yes,
so.
Everything they touch turns to shit.
Yeah. So EA.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
A lot of people will agree with that.
Oh, everyone did. Maria put the same as well. A lot of people. And Joe, what I think we should do? I think we'll post this little like questionnaire on like social media, and you can fill it out yourself too. But like EA,
we'll do that.
They gave us gems. Like, don't get me wrong, I love The Sims as a child. Occasionally I dip back in. Like, this is the kind of time that I would play The Sims now, when like I'm isolated over Christmas, I'm bored, nothing to do. I'm like, let's play The Sims for an hour. And then you play it for an hour, and you're like, I'm not now going to touch it for another 4 months. Like, do enjoy The Sims, but EA just suck. Like, everything they touch is destroyed. Like, they got involved in BioWare and they messed around with their schedules, and that's why Dragon Age 2 was a thing. Like, even though I love Dragon Age 2, it was missing so many elements. Like, EA just no No to EA.
Well, they're money hungry, and they, like, don't get me wrong, I know gaming is a business, and it's a very expensive business, and the kinds of people that you need to hire to create these kind of games do not come cheap, you know, but I just feel like it just takes away from a lot, and like a lot of the loved series as well, like Dragon Age, and it just becomes about microtransactions, and Sims was always so bloody good, and like you bought your expansion, you're away. Now it's like the actual game is basically empty, and you have to buy that. And like I get it's a business, but fuck me, like. But
even some of like the add-on
when
packs,
to stop.
like literally the add-on packs, not even expansions. Like expansions like Unleashed and stuff are full expansion. You expect to pay a bit more for that, but even add-on packs that have just a bunch of items, like 20 items, like 15-20 quid for like a bunch of pixels, and you think, really, are you actually that money hungry and like disgusting? Like, no, just no to EA.
Yeah, so EA, you are a letdown, to be honest.
You are. And
on that depressing note.
Yeah, on that depressing
game.
Most depressing game. Now this is a recent one for me. I put one that affected me like as of recent. So I put most depressing, and I to me, depressing game, like when I looked at what other people, so for example, when I was talking to Maria, I'm pretty sure she put something, I can't remember. I think she put Heavy Rain for her as like a depressing game, and that's quite a dark game overall. Fine.
It is, yeah.
I chose a game ending that like really just like made me like feel a bunch of things, and I put the Spider-Man ending because that fucked me up. Like that
you said that in the last podcast, though, that the story of that hit you in other ways that you weren't quite like anticipating. So I can get that.
So that like hurt me. That hurt my heart a little bit. So yeah, I said the PS4 ending for Spider-Man 2018 game, but I only played it recently. Well, completed it recently. So yeah, that's what affected me. What did?
And to be honest, when you explained it to me, like I totally understood, because I wasn't sure if I'd finished it, or I think I was near the end of it, but I ended up doing a lot of the open world stuff, and I thought I'd finished it, but I actually hadn't. I just kind of ended it early to do like obviously all the extra stuff. And yeah, it was a really sad story.
It's a really sad
story.
So
if anyone wants to know what we were on about, go back to the last podcast and you'll listen to what we were going on about.
Go listen to our Spider-Man review, because I give you great detail of what happened and how it made me feel.
He does. I'm sitting there nodding, but like he does.
He does. I do.
For me, it's very obvious. Last of Us Part 2, because it felt like game. I felt attacked. When I was playing attacked. There was a lot of there's so many moments where I didn't want to press the button, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, as much as I praise the game and I say how much I love it and I think it's great, it is, but it was one game that I literally, when I finished it, I was glad it was over, and I kept thinking about it for literally like a week. Like, I felt like it actually kind of like, I don't know, you know when something happens and it almost scars you and you think about it over and over?
Yeah.
I generally felt affected by that game, and I was kind of like, I was just basically, long story short, you do things that you don't want to do, but you have to do it, and you feel bad, and you generally don't want to press a button, and like it's so like immersive. So the most depressing game for me is obviously that. Like, after it, I was just like, what a fucking roller coaster. Like, I was actually exhausted, and I didn't play another game for like 2 weeks.
Like, emotionally drained. It's almost like when you finish Game of Thrones and you're like, whew. Like, every episode's like, oh my god. It's like when you watch, for the people who watched it, like when it was a thing, like after you watched the Red Wedding episode, I stopped watching it for a month because I needed like a mental break, because it was just a lot. Like,
and
you get that.
Some people might think you're a bit silly and think, how can you get so upset about something? But if anything, I feel like a game is going to make you more upset than watching a film or reading a book, because you're actually kind of playing those events out.
You're actually doing it.
And like, you do build like your favorites. It's like, no matter what you want, like if you eat something, you grow like a favorite kind of food, and you get like favorite characters and favorite song. Like, it's only natural that you prefer things, and that game just completely kind of twists it up. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a deep
That's
one for
a
me.
lot. I mean, one other I did have as a contender, as I thought about, was Dragon Age 2. Because we haven't spoken about it yet, and like I am very quickly just going to spoil something about Dragon Age 2, so I'm really sorry. But it's like, well, maybe I won't, but it's just like the amount of people that like leave you in that game. So like you start off as like a refugee, basically. You just lost your hometown, and then what happens with your family, and then what happens with your family again, and then what happens with your family. I mean, all I'm going to say is the quest All That Remains is just something that we still talk about to this day. Like, that was such a blindsided moment for us, and I was like, absolutely fucking not. I'm not actually witnessing this play out.
anyone that listens to this and is planning to play Dragon Age and maybe has finished the first one and wants to move on to the second one, literally just get a little sticky note and just write down all that remains and put it next to your fucking game in wherever you're playing it, and just you wait.
Because that that whole quest and even your character,
that hit us so much.
That was just intense. And it's like when you go back to your house afterwards and there's just like this emptiness.
Oh, don't.
It's just, and then
so
you feel
sad.
so alone with your emotions, and it's just so.
You do feel alone.
So
But to be honest, I can agree. Like so your edition of Dragon Age, I would say mine would be Mass Effect. In
okay.
A lot of people might like disagree, but they're the same kind. They're basically the same game in a way. Like they're the same premise sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be really sad at the end when you've stuck with a character through all 3 games, and then if you get a certain kind of ending in your 3rd game, it's a bit like, oh,
yeah,
you know.
Oh.
So yeah, the same sort of thing.
Sad times. So Last of Us and Spider-Man. We've got 4 questions left, so we can like go a little bit quicker through them. So this one I put creepy game. So I couldn't really think of many games that officially like really creeped me out, because like I am a horror nut. I love horror films, I love horror games. I'm quite like impervious to being
resilient.
Yeah, like quite resilient to being like genuinely frightened. But I'd say a game that I played not too long ago that really, even though I knew what was going to happen, still like kind of creeped me out a little bit, I will say, is the Resident Evil 2 remake. I feel like it was such a well done remake that it was quite creepy. Just knock everything over. It was quite creepy, and it did make me even feel a bit nervous when things were about to happen. I was like, well, in the original this happened, but I don't know what's going to happen in the remake. Like, oh, and I felt a bit like creeped out. So I'm going to say like that. I'm also going to say some of the footage I've seen of PT. Unfortunately, as you know, I was not able to ever play it, but I've watched playthroughs of it, and that is fucking creepy.
I'm really glad you've mentioned that.
Okay.
So I didn't pick PT, but I will say before I go on to my decision that PT is really, really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, now I think about it, there's quite a few creepy games that I've played. So PT was definitely one of them. I don't know if anyone's played it, but if you haven't, just literally Google search it. And there was this weird like growth in a sink that's meant to be a baby.
Yeah,
and
like
it was
a
all just
fetus
very
is
weird.
talking. It's all just very bizarre.
Yeah, it's very dark, like the phone rings, it's all very psychological. So like PT was really, really good. Gutted it got scrapped, but like we're still holding out for something else. Obviously all the Silent Hills and things like that, quite creepy.
Yeah.
Outlast was my decision. Outlast is quite a very creepy game because it's first person. It's set in a mental asylum, and the first one's kind of creepy, and it's like, well, it is creepy because it's a mental asylum. There's a lot of blood, there's a lot of naked people, it's all very fucked up. And then the DLC just takes such a dark turn, and like I don't want to say anything to like ruin it, but there is a situation where a lot of streamers that play it will turn the camera away because they know that it's just wrong. And someone gets basically mutilated for like a very dark reason.
Oh.
Shall I just... All right,
just
anyone, if you're
there.
going to play it, I'm really sorry, but basically you play as this guy in there and he gets caught by this other guy who's like the nasty person. And what he does is he collects unsuspecting men and he operates on them, and he wants them to be his wife. And he wants them to carry his child.
This is
and
very
like,
Dragon Age.
You just want my seed. Do you know what I mean? And it's dark. Like, it is creepy. It is twisted. And I was surprised that Whistleblower was actually kind of allowed to do that. But I guess films portray things, so why not games? But for me, like, Outlast really touched on some dark roots.
That is some dark shit. Do you know what I thought you were going to put for a moment? Well, I guess it's creepy, not like outright terrifying. But there was a time when we lived together, like back in the day, and I was going out and I was like, oh, I just got Dead Space. Do you want to play it? And you were like, yeah, sure, I'll play it. And then I came back like wrecked from this party, and I walked in and you were on the couch and you were like, I played it for 10 minutes and I didn't really want to carry on because I got too scared. And
I know.
And every light in the house was on. And like...
I don't know how old I was. I was quite young. It's back when like,
you were like
PS3
19,
was
18.
still like fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I finished him now, and I'm a big fan of like Dead Space. More so 1 and 2. 3 was like, but like 1's really, really good. But yeah, I will never forget that night. Like, he'd gone out. I was like, I'm not scared. I'm going to turn all the lights off. I was terrified. I then went into the kitchen to make myself a sandwich, and I ended up setting the frying pan on fire, and like your dog was like screaming at me, and I was like, this is too much.
God, honestly, I was like, come out. She's like, no, I'm gonna play Dead Space. I was like, okay, enjoy.
Yeah, I know. I'm still antisocial, to be honest. I've drank that much in my lifetime that like a night out is just not on the cards. Like,
You'd rather terrify yourself and be alone. Cool.
I'd rather play games than go on a night out ever again. I'm too old for that shit. Like,
I love it. Two more questions officially, but we'll add one on for favourite villain if we can think of one. So this one is happy game. Just a happy game that you enjoy. And I just went with something that I thought was quite funny and quite enjoyable. I put Fall Guys because I just really enjoy playing Fall Guys. It's a really happy game. It makes me laugh. And it's something that I still play with some of my friends like for quite a few hours. Like every season I'm like, oh, it's winter themed. Let's play again. So yeah, I enjoy Fall Guys. Yeah.
Fall Guys. Just generally happy, light-hearted game.
Mm-hmm.
I chose the same thing.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I think those kind of games like Fall Guys, Overcooked, like The Escapists, all those kind of Among Us as well. Like,
just like stupid.
It's just a happy game that, yeah, it's just really kind of simple and like you can learn to play it in a second and just have fun.
Yeah.
So they're good games.
Good games. So the last official question is favourite ending. So this was like. This was like a hard one because there was a lot of games that you either love and then hate the ending, or you find the game really difficult and the ending just sums everything up. Like, an ending is so like crucial because is it really the ending, like the ending of a game, the ending of a franchise, whatever. But you haven't played this yet, so you're not gonna know what I'm really talking about. But I put Final Fantasy VII because I think the ending to that, like, not that it's necessarily like a, you know, it's not like Resident Evil old days where like at the end it's like everything's fine and we'll just carry on in the next game. Like, it's a dark game, a lot happens, but that ending to me was just like, oh, okay, that's like a lot to absorb. Like, the whole game was just such a good experience, but the ending is like, yeah, there's loads of games I could have chose because there's a lot of games that I really do enjoy the ending for, and I think, oh, okay, a really good way to end the series. But I just got to stay true. I love my Final Fantasy VII.
Stay true to the Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I went for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which I don't think you ever finished.
I never finished 3. I didn't really enjoy it. Oh.
Yeah, which is just
interesting.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3. The endings are really big kind of like, I wouldn't say contrast, but the story really kicks in after a while, and you have to fight someone, and just the kind of like visuals of it, and it's just an emotional fight. And when you do defeat them, there's this big emotional scene, and then it's quite a long, obviously Koji loves these cutscenes, and there's quite a long ending to it, and you see like Snake get like awarded the title as like Big Boss, and it kind of just sets everything up, and it's very like emotional.
I think I know what this
just
ending
cool.
is. That's where, because I haven't finished it, but I've seen is it possibly a woman?
Yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what this is. Yeah.
So yeah, you have a fight, and like the flowers kind of change with the fight, and it's all very
picturesque.
It's all very creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all very picturesque. It's all very creative. It's all very Kojima. You know, like you just know, and like that's one thing that I liked about Death Stranding as well. Like, he just has these kind of ways with how he does things, and it's just kind of, yeah, it's really cool. So that's probably one of my like all-time favorites to a game, because it all kind of just it's a really nice way to round off the game. Yeah.
Well, that's like, yeah, I'm with that. I'm like,
yeah. Down for that little metal straw.
I've come down to the end of my drink, which means we probably come to the end of our quiz. So there's one last question left, if you can think of it.
Aye.
And it's favourite villain. So
it's yours like Sephiroth or something.
Well, like that would, I mean, I, as we've just thought of this question halfway through the quiz, I'm like still thinking, but Sephiroth I think is a really good contender. Like, I think Sephiroth is like just impossible, because he's literally just this beacon of like nastiness, and he's kind of a good one because there doesn't seem to be a way to beat him. Like, you can't ever imagine yourself winning against him in any way, shape or form, because he's literally just the ultimate. I mean, if you've been paying attention to like what's been happening in the gaming world recently, you know that he's been added to Smash Bros as an enemy. And when I saw that at the Game Awards, I was like, why? Because he's like literally infinite power. I was like, there ain't no way Mario can beat Sephiroth. Like, what the fuck? So like, he's such a powerful enemy. But then you've got people like Wesker, who's like a favorite villain because he's like so iconic in the franchise and does so much, and he's just so like quick-witted and like fun. I just don't know. I think favourite villain's quite hard. I do really, in my life, identify with villains more than I do heroes. I think they're more cooler characters.
I feel like I've got like a few people that I would say, or something that maybe is a villain, but maybe it isn't like a villain. I don't know. But like, I feel like this could almost be an episode in itself.
Yeah.
Because I literally, briefly, when we just suddenly decided it, I just wrote down the end, because I thought the end was a really cool character in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay.
You can kill him in like 3 different ways, and I thought that was really cool. But then I really started to think about it, and I just thought, like you said, like there's Wesker, there's just so many different kind of like characters that I just thought I could probably make this an entire episode.
Yeah, of like favourite villains. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe like 2021 should kick off with the favourite villains that we just...
An apology for like slagging off games, and then our favourite villains.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd be down for that.
My favourite villain is Twitter and was on and
social media
and Project CD Red. They're, I think, my favourite villain of the...
Don't worry, they're getting done.
They're getting done. Controversial yet brave opinion. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be someone like Wesker or Sephiroth, and maybe a cross between the two. There's not really a more iconic villain that in my gaming repertoire that I can kind of like conjure up that I think, oh god, yeah, they're a sick one. Like, it depends. If you're more of like a Disney kind of player, you might pick like Kingdom Hearts, and you might go with like Maleficent or something. If you're more of a Metal Gear, you could pick like, you know, The End or Fortune or Vamp or something, or like Resident Evil. Like,
villains,
there's so many to pick from.
There's so many, but like, I think one like we can agree on is like, no game's like that good unless it's got a really strong like villain character.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Know what I mean? Like Death Stranding's got like a really great one. Like, there's just, you can't beat a good character, a good villain. And I guess Last of Us, to be fair, doesn't really have a villain, but the villain is the world.
It's the virus, yeah. Like, it's like now.
Virus.
It's like 2020. My favourite villain is 2020.
Yeah, so it's a hard one to answer, but like, yeah, I could go on and on about villains.
Yeah, I'll say a cross
cool
between
characters.
Sephiroth and Wesker. I like, you know, they're my two like iconic villains who I think about. They live in my mind rent free.
Who you think about all the time?
All the time, yeah.
I can't even think of like a proper villain. I can, like I said, I can just say like The End, or like Beatrix from FF9, fucking Metal Gear from like Metal Gear 1, like
Yeah,
even
God.
the robot, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different ones. Like, I would struggle to think of like a really bad one. But yeah.
Wow. On that note,
This is a long old
this
podcast.
is a long old podcast. I'm looking at the time, and God knows how long this will end up being. If it's like 4 hours, I'm really sorry. But
For those of you that have listened to this long, I really hope you enjoyed it.
I really hope you enjoyed it, because if not, I'm just sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just sorry.
No, we appreciate you. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And I hope you like agreed with us and thought we had some good things. I wonder if there's, I mean, we've probably, to be fair, these are just our opinions. Like, there are so many amazing games that it's hard to actually even pinpoint a game, you know, when you
Yeah.
think about all of them. It's just like, God, there's just so many things. Like, I struggled giving one answer for most of those questions.
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely do another like questionnaire type.
Yeah, it was fun.
episode
I did
again,
enjoy
'cause
it.
That was really cool. Yeah, really fun.
I hope everyone enjoyed it too. I mean, yeah, I will say, like, even though we're not like, you know, taking off massively, there's not like millions and millions of people listening, but there's still like quite a few people listening, and we really do appreciate that. Like, it's nice to know that some people are actually interested in what we think somewhat.
Get the violin out.
I know, but like there were some people who like tweeted us that said that we were in their like
Yeah,
top
yeah.
5 podcasts,
And
some
we
of
love
like of the
you.
year, which was fantastic, and like that really does like
Yeah,
makes
Shadow.
us-
Shout out to Shadow for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
We
and
appreciate
appreciate your support and your YouTube channel, which,
Oh.
do you know, I'm going to plug it. For those listeners, you need to look up Shadow's YouTube, because he's a big fan and he's really, actually really, really funny.
Oh,
I think he's Irish.
because that
I think you're Irish, Shadow.
he writes
right,
back,
let
I'm
me get it.
Turkish.
Shadow Tillager. So that's Shadow, Tilagger, and he plays loads of different things, and he's just a really funny, nice person.
Shout
So,
out to him, and like anyone
Shout out
else
to
who's like
him.
supported us, because honestly there's quite a few people like friends of
Oh,
ours
yeah,
as well, but also
definitely.
like people we've never even met who listen to us and like tweet us and say like our personal accounts or what have you, or even the TG breakdown one, and say like they really enjoy it or what have you. So just like thanks so much, because yeah, this was just something we started as fun, so it's nice to know that people actually do enjoy the crap we come out with, because it is crap. It's not like
exactly started it as fun, and yeah, it's just a good thing to do, isn't it? And have a little chat and like see what people are saying, and yeah, it's been a really fun sort of journey. Obviously, we ain't got that many episodes out, really. I mean, what episode are we on now? Like 15 or something, maybe for that. Yeah. So we're still like little baby podcasters, but we enjoy it, and we hope you enjoy it as well.
We do. So we hope you've had a somewhat bearable 2020. We know it's been really shit for everybody, but anyway, forget about that. Moving on. We hope you have a fantastic 2021, and we have a good new year. I know Christmas has been a bit shit for all of us, but like hopefully we had to suffer through this one so we can have a sick Christmas next year. So just think about all the cool shit we'll get up to when everyone's like vaccinated.
So many good games coming out next year as well to look forward to.
Yes. Oh my God. Can we just very quickly say, it looks like complete nonsense, but Stray, fucking waiting on that. Playing as a cat, walking through the city. Yes, please. Like,
I'm so down for Stray and Kina. Like, those two are on my list straight away.
As a side note,
being a cat.
Like, that was the only game. When we watched the initial, I think it was State of Play that was released, we were both texting each other, and I was like, that Stray looks kind of good, you know? I was like,
yeah, like, I never thought in a million years I'd probably happily spend £50 on a game being a cat.
But I'm here for it, and take money.
I'm here for it. Like, something different, innit?
We can't wait to review you, Stray. So yeah, have a great 2021. A great Christmas present to us would be to follow us on our social media, because we don't like really have that many people yet. We have some, but like we could have more. So
if you like us, give us a little follow, and then obviously we'll, you know, when we know people are sort of listening and wanting to take part, then it'll be good to post some more stuff and see people's opinions.
Yeah, it would be. So we are at TG Breakdown on Twitter and at TG Breakdown Podcast on Instagram. And if you'd like to give us a follow, tell us you like us, tell us we're shit, whatever, just tell us something.
Tell us you like us.
Tell us you like us. Then please visit us there. But yeah, have a great 2021. Have a happy new year and stay safe. And we will see you next year.
See you next year.
Bye.